Why do right and right sound the same but have different spelling? These words are sight words. We need to memorize that they sound like right because you can't look at the letters and decode each letter and know what it says. In this word, right, as in a rite of passage, the spelling makes a little bit more sense. We have a silent E at the end that makes this I say the I diphthong, right. So why does this word have a W at the start? And why are the letters GH in this word? It's not just to confuse you as you're learning English. These words are actually artifacts of how the words used to be pronounced. Pronunciation changes over time, but at a certain point, spelling gets set and doesn't change. At the time of the printing press, these spellings reflected the pronunciation of the words. Then over time, the pronunciation changed, but the spelling didn't. Let's talk about the history of these words to help you understand. Let's start with right. We can trace the origins of this word back to the Proto-Germanic. This word would have been pronounced with the w and the r sounds, but the r would have been rolled like r. So we would have wuh-ri-ta-na, writana. The meaning of this was to carve or to scratch or to score, because writing was done carving into wood. But between writana and right, we had some changes. In Old English, it was ritan. We lost the a at the end. And then with the vowel shift and change, the e became an I, and we ended up with our modern right. We see this WR phenomenon in other words like ring and wrench, where the W is silent, and they followed a similar pattern and progression from the r to r. What about this word, right? Proto-Germanic, we had rechtas. You can hear that recht in the German recht for right, or in the modern English, correct. In Old English, we would have had reicht for this word, with the H saying the sound. We no longer use this sound in American English, although in Scottish English, you'll still hear it in words like loch or broch. We lost the sound of reich and it became just right. But where did the letter G come from? In Middle English, some words spelled with H were influenced by Norman French, and the spelling changed to GH for the sound. So it was still pronounced with the but now spelled with GH. Reicht. Sound combinations that were difficult, like wuh, eventually dropped and simplified. Another example is the KN combination. We no longer say knife or knight. We've lost the k sound at the beginning. We no longer say gnat or gnaw. Gn being difficult to pronounce, the g sound dropped out of our speech. What about this less common word, rite, as in rite of passage? Its origins come from the 14th century Latin ritus. Because it didn't have the sound like our right, it didn't get the GH spelling in the Norman times and just dropped its us to become right. The takeaway for pronunciation is to envision these words in a way that makes sense in your brain for how to spell them and how to pronounce them. Even though English spelling can be a challenge, it preserves the history and the development of pronunciation over time in the English language. Silent letters are evidence of an older version of English, how we used to pronounce it. They also help us distinguish which word is being used, as in to write letters or the right way. I hope you found this to be helpful, and of course you can get more details on how to pronounce and use these words fluently in our videos here on the channel. Thanks so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video. I'm Christine Dunbar from speechmodification.com. Remember, if you want to sound like a native speaker, you can do it. speechmodification.com.